I've decided to wait a little bit before making this NASCAR Heat 5 review because I wanted to see what would happen after release the first week, or even, just seeing what would go on in terms of patches or how the community's liking the game. So now I think I've played the game enough to understand pretty much everything about it and make my review. So apologies to those that have been waiting for this to maybe make a decision on the game, but I'll be completely honest here, no BSing, and so let's get into it. So obviously NASCAR Heat 5 is the 5th iteration in the NASCAR Heat series. They've made a game every single year. This is the last year on the current Unity engine. It is very important to make that point very clear, because the next game, whatever it might be called, it might not be called Heat, it might still be called Heat, but the next game will not be on the Unity engine, which means this game, NASCAR Heat 5, is the last game you will see that it pretty much looks, feels, and runs in the way that it is currently. When you switch game engines, you're switching basically everything. Where you're switching your starting point. You're building a game from the ground up, and it's going to be very different. I will talk about that later on in the video, because right now it is about NASCAR Heat 5 and everything going on within it. So let's talk about the offline game modes. Career mode is pretty much the same from NASCAR Heat 4. The developers knew this, they did not shy away from it. The only thing that is different is that you get stats in career mode, but other than that, it is pretty much the same. Gameplay wise, the game actually plays pretty good in my opinion. If you guys like Heat 4, which I think Heat 4 is a solid game in terms of physics and driving and the AI, there's not a lot changed here. The AI, which I think I've been saying since Heat 3, is probably the strongest point of this game. They're pretty good, they're very aggressive, they run well, they use multiple lines, even though sometimes for the high line, if you want to run up high for yourself, it's not very beneficial unless you're at a track like Auto Club. I've been to Auto Club sometimes, and it seems like actually running the middle to the top is better for me personally, so that is something that looks like it's been improved. But the AI are really strong. The AI are very good compared to other NASCAR games I can think of on console. I mean, this probably ranks up there in terms of one of the best AI, so racing offline with them is definitely a lot of fun. Physics wise, you're not going to see much of a difference from Heat 4. I am playing on the game this year on a wheel, which makes the experience very different for me than Heat 4 and Heat 3, because I always play the game on a controller. Now, looking back on it, if I played Heat 5, which I have played it on a controller as well, you get a much better experience if you could play on a wheel. This game seems like it's very optimized for playing on a wheel, so I would recommend, if you get this game, that if you want to get the best experience possible, wheel and pedals is probably how you're going to really much enjoy it. And I think that's going to be the future of a lot of racing games as we move into the next gen systems and more technology, is that when you race on a wheel and pedals, it's just going to feel a lot better as the years go on. The cars feel a little bit heavier, they have a little bit more weight to them, but again, the handling's not too different. Good thing is you have a lot of settings just like Heat 4 where you can customize exactly how you want the game to play, so you can just find something that fits for you and you will be just fine. One of the big improvements is Championship Season, because you can make a custom schedule. So for a content creator like me, I really like this because I can now take the playoffs out of the situation, run a full 36 race season, put my own racetracks in the own schedule, and customize. I can put the Daytona 500 last. I can put the Indy race in February. It doesn't matter what I do. I have full control making up my own schedule, which is a lot of fun. The more you get more creative features in the game, you give the player options to do something that they want to do, is a plus in my book. However, you're going to hear me say this a lot throughout the rest of this video, is that this mode is not completely finished yet, because in the custom schedules you cannot run at every track. So for example, if I wanted to take the Cup Series to Road America or Iowa, I cannot do that yet. Apparently that is coming in a patch later on, but for release, and I've waited 1 week to see if it would come in, it has not come in yet. So I've not gone into the Championship Season mode yet, because currently I can only race at the Cup tracks. And I feel like one of the main reasons why we're very excited for a custom schedule is that we could race at other tracks that are already in the game that the Cup Series don't go to. I want to take the Cup Series to Canadian Tire. I want to take the Cup Series to Road America. I want to take it to Gateway. But for right now, I cannot do that in a custom Championship Season mode. So that is something that is really disappointing, and that's just, I'm waiting for it. It's a really good feature in the game, but it's not complete. I've played a few races of online multiplayer on the PS4, and now we're going to start getting into some of the problems of the game, because right now online multiplayer is very, very buggy. I don't know what's going on. I don't remember Heat 4 being like this. I saw a lot of people playing Heat 4 streaming it and everything, and I did not see this kind of bugs. Usually the problem with online multiplayer and racing games is not the game itself, but it's actually the people that do it, because when the people racing and quick races on multiplayer, they just don't care, they wreck, it's crazy. And that's in every racing game. That's just not a NASCAR Heat game. It's in F1, it's in Forza, it's in Gran Turismo, it's in the dirt racing games, it's in a MotoGP racing game. Anything that's racing, if you go on multiplayer, you're probably not gonna have the best time if you just go into a random race, because people are just gonna be really crazy. However, with this game, it seems like the servers are just not up to par. I have a thought of why that is, but we're gonna start getting into this theme now of the game releasing in July. It seems very buggy. We move into some of the pit stop stuff. There's been a bug where I go into a pit stop at Las Vegas and my entire screen just crashes for like 20 seconds. I wait for the pit stop animation to finish, and then I go back on my way. With custom cars, the rims, the colors, it automatically reverts to a neon yellow. Does not matter what color you have, but if you go down to the pit stop and you go and you get the pit stop animation, the actual colors that you have, whatever rim color you put, will actually be there, but in the gameplay in the race, it's not there. The first week, career mode was crashing for a lot of people, but luckily that was patched, and hopefully they got that fixed. This year they have a new feature called DNFs, obviously do not finishes, and that is only in career mode. However, to actually achieve a DNF is pretty unrealistic. I've had to hit the wall 10, 15, 20 times just smashing my car in there, and I still won't DNF. I'll go really, really slow, but I won't DNF. If you redline it until it blows up, that is a DNF. But overall, this feature is not very noticeable. You can crash multiple times in career mode and you won't DNF. In the challenge series, when you complete one of the challenges, you usually get a reward. So in NASCAR Heat 4, you would get a paint scheme, like a custom celebratory paint scheme. In NASCAR Heat 5, you get nothing. There's nothing currently in the challenge mode that you get. You don't get a paint scheme, you don't get a video, you get nothing. There's just nothing there. And paint schemes wise, there's actually no paint schemes, really additional paint schemes coming. There's a season pass where paint schemes will be coming throughout the season, but for now it's just everyone's generic paint scheme. All those paint schemes from Heat 4, not in Heat 5. You have to wait. As the months go by with the DLC, you will get those paint schemes. Tracks like the Indy Road Course, tracks like a Daytona Road Course, which are now being added to the season schedule right now, are currently not in the game. Indy Road Course is apparently on its way, but that's not coming until a later patch. And Daytona Road Course, it's going to be in the schedule. We don't know if that is coming at all. There are a lot of other bugs and issues that I have that you just have to play the game often to just see. There are still some features that are not in the game, like let's say caution replays. So you could be doing a longer race, the caution will come out and you will not know why the caution came out. You might be in pit road, you don't know why it came out. Cars might randomly wreck, but you don't see it on the map. So these things, it makes the experience of the race a little bit harder because you're not really sure why a caution is coming out. Even if you can't put a caution replay in the game, I think something similar to F1 where mid-race, obviously you can't have a replay in F1 because of safety cars and stuff like that. So you could put a little notification on the screen saying this driver wrecked and is out of the race, or this driver blew a tire, or this driver did this. That would be something that if you can't add caution replays in the game, that would be something that might be a little alternative to that, where if there is a caution, something will come up on the screen saying this is what happened, this driver blew a tire, or something like that. The test session mode is actually pretty good for those of you guys that want to just make setups and try to get faster, do some esports stuff, try to get into the pro league, stuff like that. Test session's a really good mode to use. You're able to just work on the setup, empty track, no AI drivers, and even though that's a feature that maybe not everyone was looking for because some people just casually play the game, for a lot of people who do online multiplayer, that's something that's really important. It's just they don't have to deal with AI drivers. They could just go into a practice session by themselves. So test session mode is a pretty good feature added into the game. There is still no significant upgrade to the paint booth. Paint booth is pretty much the same. However, like I said earlier in the video with the bugs, the rim colors is just bugged out, stuff like that. You should have more ability to pick a different paint scheme, but that did not come in this game. Overall, NASCAR Heat 5 is a good game, but not yet. And the theme of this video that I'm going to point on for the rest of this video here is that the game just simply isn't finished. And when I heard this game was coming out in July, I was very surprised but also skeptical because I was like, wait a minute, that's 10 months of development. How did you guys make another game with 10 months, probably even less because they work on NASCAR Heat 4 after release. How do you guys make a game with just 10 months of development? Add in the COVID-19 pandemic. Add in 704 now having different, being under a different umbrella in motorsport games. So their offices have been switched, development teams have been switched. Monster Games is no longer the development team. A lot of stuff from Heat 4 has been just copied and pasted into Heat 5, but the game isn't finished. There's a big lack of paint schemes. There's a ton of bugs. The servers are not really working well on PS4. Pit stop animations are randomly bugged out. The custom championship season, you can't add different tracks. The rim colors on your car is not working at the moment. DNFs are really buggy. Pretty much everything that is a new feature or something like, even the challenges rewards where you're supposed to get a reward, it's not even in the game. So the point here is, and the obvious clear thing is, this game wasn't finished. This game had a July 7th release date. It had to hit that release date, but it isn't finished, and that's what worries me. Because there's a lot of games in the gaming industry today that don't finish the games by the time they release. They just patch it. Alright, next game. I mean, we could talk about multiple EA Sports games that do this. And I don't want 704 games becoming something like that with EA Sports, where they're putting out releases and the game is not finished. Which is why I waited a week to see how many patches can go into the game, what can be going on. And right now it's tough because of COVID-19 and everything going on. But if the game isn't finished, I really feel like this game should have been released in September, because that's normally when a NASCAR Heat game comes out, which means 2 months from now is when the game would have came out. And you can get a lot done in 2 months. And I think that difference right there is showing today. Why the servers are laggy, why you have a lot of these bugs, why certain things and features are not there, paint scheme wise, stuff like that. That's just not having enough development time, and there is some sort of call from higher up that decided, hey, we have to get this game out quicker. So in the future, and this is where you can kind of understand this, they're going to a new game engine. They have to put a lot of development time into the next NASCAR game because it's going to be completely different, built from the ground up on the new next gen systems. So you can definitely see why they wanted to really get this game out, get some money into the team so they could carry on and focus on the next gen system and make a better game there. And however, I do agree with that, but you have to finish Heat 5. Heat 5 right now is pretty much an unfinished, buggy game, which should be and even could be better than Heat 4. I was expecting it to be similar to Heat 4, be just as good as Heat 4. NASCAR Heat 5 could easily be better than Heat 4 in many different ways, but right now it's just buggy. It's not really a completed version of the game. In a few months time, maybe even a few weeks time, maybe the game will have that Indy road course, maybe a Daytona road course, maybe the rim color bug will be fixed, more paint schemes, more things to do in custom championship season where you're able to add different tracks. All that stuff should have already been in the game, but right now that stuff has to be coming in patches. The servers have to be fixed, and until all of that happens, the game is not on par with NASCAR Heat 4, and it cannot pass NASCAR Heat 4. However, like I've said in previous videos, you can understand why they have done this. They're looking at the future. They're looking at that new game engine, which is going to completely change this series for the future. Motorsport Games is now controlling everything. In that development time of 10 months, you had a complete switch over from 704 Games now being under a completely different owner, pretty much. Offices being moved to Orlando, multiple offices all around the world working on different games. Add in the pandemic and you can see why this game just isn't yet finished. So in conclusion, guys, would I buy NASCAR Heat 5? It depends. Did you buy NASCAR Heat 4? Are you a NASCAR Heat fan? Are you a NASCAR fan in general, NASCAR gaming fan? If you're completely new to the series and you have no idea what's going on and you want a solid racing game, yes, I think you should buy NASCAR Heat 5. I think it is still a fun game. You could still have a lot of fun races in there, do a career mode, and since you haven't played a NASCAR game before, everything's new to you, so you won't see what's been happening over the past few years. Overall, standing alone, I could have fun, especially on a wheel, playing this game. I could spend a few hours on it and just race with the AI, and I'll have a lot of fun. However, with the early release date and with another game coming out on the same day called F1 2020 that had a My Team mode and is completely fleshed out and one of the best racing games I've ever seen, this was a really hard buy for NASCAR Heat 5 to really prove that itself and make sure that you guys should have bought it or should still buy it, because F1 2020 is out there and F1 2020 is an insanely incredible game. However, that game with that development team has been going down the line for 10 years now. This is their 10th game and NASCAR Heat is in its 5th game. It's only halfway through with not nearly the resources that Codemasters has over there in the UK. Two completely different games that came out at the same time. I know a lot of people can't buy two games at the same. That's $120 pretty much worth of games. That's a lot of money. But overall, if I had to give NASCAR Heat 5 a score, I'm pretty sure I gave NASCAR Heat 4 a 7 or a 7.5 out of 10. And for NASCAR Heat 5 in its current state, I would have to give it a 6 or a 6.5 out of 10. If the game gets patched up along the way and some of the stuff gets fixed up there, I would actually rate it higher than Heat 4. I would rate it a 7.5 or an 8 out of 10. But in its current form, 6 to a 6.5 out of 10. I still stick by my statements earlier of I really think you should support the developers who are working on that next gen game with that completely different game engine that's going to completely change the game. But I am a little disappointed that the game came out and released unfinished. It's an unfinished product that has a lot of bugs and needs a lot of patches, and that's really disappointing because that cannot be a trend that is set in the future where every game is unfinished and is buggy at launch. A lot of AAA developers do that, and that is something the gaming industry cannot afford to keep going down with. It is just not a good look. It's not fun for the consumer, and it hurts the trust between the developers and the consumer. So guys, what do you think of NASCAR Heat 5? Do you race on it? Are you thinking about buying it? Has this review changed your perception on whether you should buy it or not? I know I'm kind of on the fence of telling you, hey, it's a 6 or a 6.5, but I still think you should buy it. That's because I'm also looking at the future, but also I do believe you can have fun on this game. I still think you can have a lot of fun with friends too, because once the online multiplayer and the servers are really fixed up, there have been improvements within the multiplayer to make it a lot easier to run leagues, race with your friends. There's a lot of added benefits there. It's just the servers have to be on par. If you enjoyed the video, please hit the like button, share it around. If you're new to the channel, please make sure you subscribe. I would really appreciate it. We just passed 40,000 subscribers, so that is crazy. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram if you are not already. Links are in the description below, along with fanatec.com, which is the equipment I use on the game. And I highly recommend, if you get this game or you already have it, you have to race it on a wheel. It is much better in my opinion. I already enjoyed NASCAR Heat 4 on a controller, but NASCAR Heat 5 on a wheel is a lot of fun. I think it's really good. It's really fun. Fanatec is honestly the best sim racing equipment for wheels and pedals and cockpits and everything that you can get. There is no better brand out there. You can get a budget bundle or you can go for the high quality stuff. All the same, all incredible, and you should really go check them out. So that link is in the description below. I will see you guys later. Hope you are having a fantastic day. Take care of yourselves. Please make sure you wear your masks, stay safe, stay indoors, protect your parents, protect the elderly. You need these cases to go down, so take care of yourselves. Peace out.